Welcome to the Life by Design podcast with your hosts, Jessilyn and Brian Persson. We support couples in achieving their wealth goals by sharing our journey of overcoming barriers to build our financial empire.
Recognizing the growing need for couples to find alignment and invest confidently in real estate, we created the Riches, Relationships, and Real Estate program. Our goal is to support you in achieving your financial and relationship goals together. Want to know more about what's stopping you from building your wealth? Make sure to go to discoverlifebydesign.ca/wealth and download the 3 mistakes that keep high-achieving couples from building their wealth, freedom, and living a life they love.
Today's topic is on how small, consistent habits can shape your wealth. So small, consistent habits shape your wealth by leveraging the power of incremental growth, discipline, and compounding over time. Our first takeaway is keep it small and simple. That is the key.
Keep it small and simple. Absolutely. I cannot count the number of times I have overwhelmed myself with trying to change too many things at once.
Yes. Or taking a big, lofty thing and trying to make it happen tomorrow.
Yeah. Habits don't change overnight.
No.
They're exactly like going to the gym. You got to go and do the reps. You got to build that muscle day after day.
Yep. Great example for me. This isn't necessarily with wealth, but I work out every day. I have for as long as I can remember. And it's natural. It's a habit. It's normal to me. But then when I decided to start journaling and figuring out how to meditate, I struggled with that for years. I'm like, how do people do this daily? And it's no different than working out once you make it a habit and you just put that space in your calendar and you get up and you do it, even if you're like, I don't have time or I want to sleep in or whatever it is. But you just do it. And then over time, it's natural. Now you're like, oh, yeah, get up, I journal, I work out, right? And now it's like, oh, and here before I didn't think I had the time, air quotes, but it was just a priority. I just didn't prioritize it.
Yeah, priority is big. Yeah. And that your habit of journaling there actually caused me to create a habit because it was, we have a common gym in our house and you were using the gym. And so I was not able to use the gym at that time.
Yeah.
And so I had to actually change my sleep schedule. And I ended up joining the 5 a.m. club and getting up it was actually the 4:30 club. But it took me probably 6 months, I think, to actually like build up the routine of getting up at 4:30. It wasn't like September, I just started waking up at 4:30. It was like September, I tried to wake up at 4:30.
I remember watching you on that journey because your journey impacted my journey because I shifted it. So you got up early, you went and did your workout. In that time, I would get up an hour later and that's when I would journal and meditate and then I'd go work out. But if you didn't get up, I'm laying there going, you're in my space.
Yeah. There was all kinds of little habits that got kind of jostled around there. But now it's very hard for me not to wake up at that time. And it feels kind of bizarre to not wake up at that time because the habit is so ingrained.
Yeah, absolutely. So simple habits like saving a fixed percentage of your income or automating investments or regularly contributing to a retirement fund can steadily build your financial foundation. And I know a lot of companies do this where they will take, if you approve it, of course, take a percentage of your paycheck before you even get it and put it into some kind of a fund for you. Now, that's a great way, hands off. All you got to do is sign up for it and it's done.
Yeah. You don't need your company to do that for you.
No, you don't.
Yeah, it's called pay yourself first. So pay yourself first by investing your money first and then like making sure that you have enough for expenses and whatever else. One of our mentors, Cardone, he's famous for what's called going broke. So his habit is to literally invest every penny he had earlier on in his career and to the point where he wasn't even able to pay rent sometimes. And
but he figured it out.
He figured it out. Yeah. But he invested first and before he thought about anything else. I mean, now he has a $4 billion real estate portfolio and a $300 million a year company. Yep. So he's not complaining, but it's kind of crazy what he forced into his life as a habit before he ever really made it per se.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know for years, they say save 10% of your income. And if you can do that, that's fantastic to start. But as we mentioned in this takeaway, small and simple is the key. If 10% seems like too much based on what you got going on right now, start with 1%.
Yep.
Reassess it after a month or two, go up to 2. The slow increments will add up and it won't feel like such maybe a burden to you at first. And before you know it, you're going to be at 10 and it's like nothing. You won't even notice it.
Yep. And if you have not enough money to save, go the other way. See what expenses you can cut down. I know almost every one of our clients that we run through our program, we get them to do a budget somewhere near the beginning of the program. And every single client has the same response. It's like, oh my God, I did not know how much money I spent on XYZ. Food. Usually coffee. Yeah.
And food.
And food, yeah. Sometimes just the grocery bill. Like we love our food. Like we don't really hold back too much, but we don't go and buy the $50 tiny little slice of salmon compared to like the Costco salmon where you can get a fair bit more, right?
Yeah.
We still get good quality salmon from Costco, but it's not like killing our food budget. And a lot of our clients, it's usually coffee and food. They are always shocked about how much they're spending on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, with small and simple, patience. People don't give their habits enough patience and time to develop.
No one gives their habits enough patience. Yeah. Yeah. Not me, not you.
No.
And actually, an exercise I put my clients through is monitoring their time. I have a habit of tracking almost every 15 minutes of my business day anyway.
Yeah.
And I put my clients through that exercise, and no one has lasted more than 2 days.
Yep, it's true. Not even me.
No. Yeah, you tried that, but what did you find out in those 2 days about your habits? I remember. Do you remember?
No.
No? How much time you were spending on email. It blew you away how much time you were spending on email.
Yeah, on email by like creating the response, not like going through them. It's like, oh, this will only take me 2 minutes. I just got to type this email. About 12 minutes later, I'm like, oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, and that's a habit you can build in too. In fact, that's one that I'm just picking back up because I kind of fell out of a pattern with it. Checking my emails later in the day instead of checking my emails all the time. So the habit I need to get back into the trend of is 1 p.m. is when I check my emails and not before. I don't even look at them before 1 p.m. Because what's been happening over the last couple of months is my mornings have been getting eaten away by checking my email too soon.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Little habit fell out of place, and it's starting to affect things in the business. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to roll into takeaway 2, which is that habits build financial discipline. So if you develop consistent habits, they'll foster financial discipline, making it easier to stick to your wealth building plan and avoid impulsive decisions that can derail progress. I know, when you got a bunch of money in the bank and you haven't invested or put it aside somewhere else, it's very easy to think you can just spend it. It's there. Mm-hmm. It's accessible, yeah. Right? Whereas if it's invested somewhere, it's out of sight, out of mind. And then you won't firstly have any kind of regrets because you spent it on who knows what. And it's going to build your wealth. So later when you look at it and it doubled in value, you're like, oh, I'm so glad I put that away.
Yeah. If you can get into the habit of invest and forget, I mean, obviously know where your investments are, but don't really think about them on a daily basis. You will not only have a lot more mental power behind you because you're not eating up all that mental power worrying about your investments.
Yeah.
And you will just allow the investments to do exactly what investments should do, and that's grow.
Yeah. Consistent habits help you develop, better money management skills, like budgeting, tracking expenses, minimizing unnecessary spending. And I know for us, for example, we at least once a year, I actually think maybe twice a year, we'll go through and look at just what subscriptions do we have, whether it's like Netflix, Disney, Apple Podcast, Prime Video, like whatever. And we'll get, okay, which ones are we not using? Gone. Cut. Right. And there's some we'll use for a small amount of time. I remember, we don't do this now, but I remember a few years back, we would get Apple Music for the holidays because I love Christmas music. But then come January, I mean, I'm done with holiday music. So we turn it off And then I think we'd pick it up for the summer because we like for road trips and walking and stuff. But then we didn't use it again September, October, November kind of a thing. So it's like we'd spend like maybe 3-4 months of the subscription, or utilize it, I should say, and only spend for those 4 months as opposed to paying a year when we weren't using it.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing with Netflix and all the other subscription services. Is we just rotate through them instead of like having all of them at our fingertips at the same time.
Yeah. Like there was one, I can't remember which service. It had this specific series we wanted to watch, Harry Potter. And so what we did is we got just that subscription, and the kids and I binge watched every movie over a few weeks, of course, maybe a month, I think it was. And then after that, so there was no other movies to watch at that time. We made it very clear that the series we're watching, and then we cut that subscription and just went back to our normal subscription.
Yeah. Really easy thing you can do for sure.
Yeah.
On the topic of expenses, the thing that you can do with your budget is just observe it. That's an amazing habit you can get into, is just paying attention to your bank account and doing a measure of it. Like actually don't just scan through it. Put it into Excel, categorize it, like make sure you understand what's going on with your budget, because the act of observing your budget is half the battle. And when you actually know what's in it, then you almost automatically just start removing things that you understand are unnecessary.
Oh yeah, I think that's a big one for me. I do a lot of the grocery shopping for our household. And every time I'd go wherever it would be to one of the grocery stores, if something was on sale, I'd stock up. And our freezers would be full. And we have, 2 freezers plus our fridge freezer.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, we don't necessarily need all this. Are we even going to get through all this? And now you guys complain, the kiddos complain. They're like, there's no food in the house. I'm like, there's lots of food in the house. It's just how we organize it and how we spend it. But now the freezer looks half empty.
Yeah.
Instead of so full, you can barely close the door.
Well, so to be fair, that habit fell off the rails for the last couple of weeks. And the way that the fridge and the freezer were actually getting filled were just like out of sync. And so habits do fall off. But, and that's the key, is like if a habit does get out of sync, get back on track. If you, for some reason, can't save your 10% in a particular month, then, don't beat yourself up.
Yeah.
Like just let that month go and make a commitment to not save 20% next month. Don't like double down, because that's going to kill you.
Yep.
But just get back on the track of saving 10% consistently month over month, because it's got to be consistent.
Yeah, I think that's a great point you raise, is the double down, because I know that was kind of my personality.
You were very much a double down
where
person.
it didn't matter. It's like, oh, if I didn't work out last week, I got to go extra hard this week. And then you just kill the body and you're just so sore and you're exhausted. Like you barely can work out the next week. So it's like, don't double down. Just pick up where you left off. Keep making slow, steady progress.
Yeah, in the past you were really bad for that, and you would seesaw between like saving every penny and then like investing every penny. Yeah, there was like, money all over the place sometimes, and none of it was getting invested because you were in a massive like spending freeze. And then at other times we were investing so much where we were nearly going broke, kind of like Grant Cardone that I mentioned earlier. And we were having like panic attacks, figuring.
I don't know if I was having a panic attack. I was like, "Whoa, look what we got invested! Look at us!"
Yeah, and now we've figured out we're off the roller coaster, and the investments are much more consistent, and they happen at the right times, and they we're a lot more educated than we were lots of years ago. They have tax advantages behind the investments now. There's buffer behind the investments. There's all kinds of things that add up over time that we've built into our investment habit that make the investments not only safe, but like appropriate for us, so that they're not like reactionary. They're actually proactionary. So.
Right. Is proactionary a word?
Yeah, it is now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
is a word, yeah.
On that note, I'm going to roll into habit number 3. Habits compound and stack. So minor investments or savings grow exponentially through the power of compounding, turning small, consistent efforts into substantial wealth over the long term. And I think I knew this. I mean, I can't say I fully understand the whole concept of it, but I knew it. And I think where it really showed me the big, I'm going to call it bang for my buck, was our RESPs, even though like we contribute steady for both our boys, and then of course the government contribution, and then the interest that you grow on it. When I look at for how long we've been investing, because our oldest is now 11 and our babe is 8, and I go, wow, like we've invested, I don't want to say only this much, but it's in the hundreds per month, in the hundreds per month. But with everything else that compounded on top of it, it has grown exponentially. And we still have quite a few years left for education savings, because they're only, like I said, 11 and 8. So that was a good eye opener for me.
Yeah. And I mean, all financial investments work that way, where if you can consistently save over time, if the market is at an all-time high right now, for example, and there's a lot to talk about how there's going to be a crash, and a lot of people will start to get panicky and they'll get reactionary, and they'll pull their money out, or they'll switch investments in weird ways, or do bizarre things that the whole like buy high and sell low paradigm, which is the exact wrong way to do it. And the thing is that if you can just keep investing consistently, even throughout the recessions and even throughout all the downtimes, you will win, because it's just a consistent habit that never exits the system, and it's always going to build into whatever environment that your financial world is in at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And and I guess the really surprising thing for me that I watched is that it's a small amount. So I think it was like, say, $200 a month per kid reaches up the maximum to what the government will match for funding. So it's $200 a month, so $400 a month, I guess, per kid, but over 10 years. And now we're looking at close to 6 digits, and it's like 200. You're like, wait, $200, 6 digits? Like that's a huge spread.
Yep.
But it was the small, consistent, month over month, year over year, right? That helped us get to that goal.
Yeah. And the stacking component of it is that once you build a habit like that, like you save a little bit of money per month, it gives you some confidence. And then you both do two things. You have the confidence to like try other habits that you can stack on top of it. And especially when it comes to the financial game, you also have the financial benefit that is behind you, where you can potentially use the habits that you've built into the past that have created a better financial future for you. And then you can like leverage that financial future. So, and we've done that with our real estate throughout 2020 and 2021. We were building a business with partners here in Canada. And if it wasn't for the habit of our real estate and what we did over the previous, 4 years in our real estate, getting it stable, having, consistent rents, consistent repairs, consistent everything, so that we knew exactly where our rental portfolio was, we probably would not have been able to like float ourselves through 2020 and 2021, because we leaned heavy on our real estate portfolio at that time. And without the habits that we had built previously, it would have been very sketchy to know how much was in that real estate portfolio and to know how much we could count on it. Because if we didn't have that habit, maybe one day a huge repair happens and then all of a sudden we're underwater. But we spent 4 years basically stabilizing and consistently putting that real estate portfolio together so that it pays us. Yeah,
absolutely. Like, I know we kind of use this analogy in a lot of our speaking, and the small, consistent habits with finance is the same with working out. If you want to lose X amount of pounds, or you want to gain, X amount of muscle, you're not going to just go to the gym one day and be like lifting a 50 or 100 pound weight. It's not going to happen, right? You got to start with the 5 and the 10 and the 15 and move up. And it's going to take months, if not years, to build it, just like your financial goals.
Exactly. And the sooner you start, the bigger your muscles get if you're in the gym, and the bigger your bank account is going to get if you're doing finances. We have a lot of clients come to us and they have 3-year goals to $1 million or something like that. And, or even 5-year goals to $1 million. And then you ask them, it's like, hey, well, how much do you have saved? It's like, well, I don't have anything saved. Like they're reactionary to their situation where they all of a sudden want to retire. They're 5 years from retirement, or they're 5 years from, I just want to get out of my job, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it looks like. And all of a sudden they need $1 million, but it doesn't work that way.
No.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You can do it. It is possible. But the average person probably does not have the time, the education, or the know-how to get it done. And so that's why you got to start early. You start with those small, consistent habits early, and then you got no worries financially into the future.
Yeah. And that's the same with, like I was mentioning with the RESP, the real estate savings plan. We, as soon as we could, we started for the kids. I don't remember how old they were, but like, you know, some people will wait till they're 5 or wait till they're 10. And it's like, yeah, but if you wait, now you got to be putting like $500 or $1,000 a month away to be able to save up, to be able to make it, because the education is really expensive if they go to university or college. And it's just like, that is not feasible. Even if you're making more, say 10 years from when you had your kids, because your career is really taken off and you've moved up the ladder, you're not making that much more that you can now put double, triple down what you needed to catch up to their RESP. Plus the catch up, you missed all the interest.
Yeah. If you really want to know what we're talking about, go online and search on Google the effect of compounding interest. And probably you will find a chart somewhere in there in the search results, and it'll show you like what happens if you invest later versus investing earlier. And the difference is substantial. It's unreal actually how much of a difference that investing earlier compared to later, and getting that habit like when you're young built into your financial discipline, it'll make all the difference in your world.
Yeah, I think we shared this story on one of our other podcast episodes where we met a couple this past summer who said, oh, it's going to be really tough for our kids to be able to afford buying real estate when they're older.
Yeah.
And their kids are about our age, I think about 9, 10, 11.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, but if you buy it now as an investment property, like firstly, imagine what that's worth for you when they're old enough. Secondly, never mind the mortgage pay down, tax advantage, cash flow you can get as well.
Yeah.
It's like, don't wait for the future. There's compounding effects even in real estate by buying now versus 10 years from now.
Yeah, it was almost like they were going to wait until the kid grew up and was going to move out of the house, and then they were going to start the action plan towards like trying to find real estate.
Yeah.
I can't remember how old their kids were. I think they were about 10 years old. So that means that they have, let's just say 8 years, maybe 10 years for the kid to move out. So you have 8 to 10 years of small little habits and small little actions that you can take over that period of time that you can help out your kid in some way.
Yeah.
You can do a crazy amount in 8 to 10 years with very, very little effort. And I don't think people recognize that. I think they think, if I'm to get to whatever X large amount that I don't have right now, it's going to take a huge amount of effort. And so they just kind of give up. Yeah. But the reality is just a little bit of effort every day or every week over those 8 to 10 years will change the whole story of your life and your kid's life, and ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right. To recap our takeaways, number 1, small and simple is the key. Number 2, habits build financial discipline. And takeaway number 3, habits compound and stack. Our next topic is going to be the 3 key strategies we use to educate ourselves on real estate. Mm-hmm. Don't forget to go to discoverlifebydesign.ca/wealth and download the 3 mistakes that keep high-achieving couples from building their wealth, freedom, and living a life they love.
We release podcasts every 2 weeks, so be sure to hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast app to journey with us and create your life by design.
Thanks for listening to the Life by Design podcast with your hosts, Jessilyn and Brian.